Man of the match and a well-deserved man of the match award there. He certainly deserved it. And those two have become quite the force, actually, since they've been playing in a Chelsea shirt together. You can see the most Premier League goal contributions from 2023 to 24 to the present day. And they are top of the table with 10. They're becoming quite the partnership, Mo.
Yeah, they are. I mean, and it's understandable, you know, Jackson playing as the main focal point now, and of course we all know what Cole Palmer's all about. I mean, he's just been incredible last season. He was absolutely brilliant. So that is a lethal combination in there for Chelsea, and they'll want to keep that continuity. That's a team that, yes, they've got a big squad. Yes, they've got people to come in and change the team if they're struggling. But I think in the main, you know, the manager now has got a nucleus of the players he wants to start. And, of course, he's not going to change much if they keep winning as emphatically as they did today. That was a good performance today. So Chelsea might be onto something. You know, we all have said so many times in recent seasons that it's just all, you know, they get a little bit of consistency and then it all gets ripped up again. But all of a sudden, you know, it's been a really impressive start to the season. They've been beaten by Manchester City. That's no problem there. I mean, most teams do. Apart from that, they've been pretty much perfect.
They have, and with all the noise and the questions around their number 9 in that position, something we spoke about at the start, Nicholas Jackson, he delivered, and very early on in the game, in 4 minutes.
Yeah, and he spoke there and he said that, you know, if you score early, then you get a chance to control the game, and that's exactly what happened. But, I mean, in terms of West Ham, they went from, you know, in Chelsea's sort of like final third and then, you know, conceding a free kick, and I just felt like they just switched off. You look at Wan-Bissaka's position there, sometimes can he be more tucked in, you know? He's sort of like he's in the wrong position. And Nicholas Jackson, to be fair to him, he knows that there's that space there for him to run into. But even when you get it here, he probably can't believe the space that he gets, because even when he gets, you think, okay, then he's not really going to get into the box, because, you know, the West Ham, you know, defenders should come across, they should cover and get across the pitch quicker. It doesn't happen, but fair play to him. It was a good finish when he got there.
Yeah, I thought Alvarez was pretty slow here. I thought he could keep Jackson going out wide, but he just didn't have the pace to. The other thing I never mentioned at half-time, actually, I don't think the goalkeeper's covered himself in any glory then. You shouldn't be scoring from there.
No.
I mean, I've bared down on goalkeepers loads of times like that. I know what I don't want to confront, and it's certainly not that. If a goalkeeper's coming and opening his legs and giving you an out, well, thanks very much, I'll take it. I'll just place it through your legs. Really, you shouldn't be scoring from there. But this is a lovely goal as well. Great finish from Jackson. We see Cucurella in the middle there, creating the overload, so there's always one spare man. It ends up being Caicedo. And again, I don't know what Alvarez is doing here. Look at him. Why does he gamble and go past Jackson? He's got no pace. Look at him. Why? I just don't get it. You give yourself a couple of yards. You certainly don't jump in front of him. I
think this is why teams do that, don't they? This is why, you know, people ask the questions about, you know, fullbacks going into midfield. I think if you do that, you do it right, and you create that overload, and you create like a box in the middle of the pitch for moments like that. But the finish that Mo said there was fantastic. But that's what happens when you're confident. You know, you go through on goal. We just knew that he was going to score.
Yeah, and he is full of confidence, isn't he? Let's have a look at 3-0, Cole Palmer. We said that he is one name that is guaranteed to start, and this is why. He delivers. Yeah,
again, we made the point at half-time. Wan-Bissaka in a forward, in an advanced position, and again, Chelsea can attack. Look, all that space in the left-hand side. Cole Palmer does really well. He notices early that he's got to make an overlapping run. Again, defensively, why are they trying to nick the ball all the time? They keep conceding themselves. They just keep giving themselves away. All of a sudden, they're one man down because they're too aggressive in trying to win the ball. Just let Jackson touch it. Let him go back. Keep your shape. But no, they commit themselves. But this is a lovely finish. I was saying to Jermaine when it went in, this is a finish that's probably not used enough. And that angle, going high and near post, is impossible for the goalkeeper. It's amazing. A really good finish.
You know what's interesting? Even looking at the goals, and you see, you know, how much space Nicholas Jackson had. Not just him, the forward players to run into. I can't remember seeing Wan-Bissaka playing like that ever.
No.
I can't remember the amount of times I've seen him actually running back towards his own goal. You know, he's never probably played like that before. You know, I think with him, you know, you speak about 1v1 defending, he probably has to stay in his position and make it a little bit difficult, but it was weird how high he played, and in certain moments as well, he's actually been inverted, playing inside.
If you're West Ham, if you're the manager, if you're the recruitment officer, if you're whoever you are at West Ham, and you're wanting a full-back to play in this, the last person you go and buy is Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I think he's a brilliant, probably the best right-back in terms of defensively in the country, in the Premier League. But if you're going to ask somebody to get up wide and high and come inside and start playing, you know, central as well, then I don't know why you would get Wan-Bissaka. That's not his game. His game is plugging the gaps, is not letting anything past. He's a brilliant defender. He's not brilliant going forward. Yet they're utilising him in totally the wrong way. It's a very strange buy if they're going to utilise him like that.
Yeah.
OK, let's now analyse Chelsea in transition. What did you notice about this, Michael?
Well, one, that West Ham were really poor in transition, but two, Chelsea pounced with numbers and with pace. I mean, there was so many times, Jermaine referred to it before, there was 4v2, 5v2 sometimes. They could have scored so many more, particularly in the second half. And I get it, you know, West Ham are trying to get back into the game. They're going to commit a few bodies forward. But look at that, that's 3v1, that one.
I think if you are going to do... sometimes a lot of teams, they're actually more vulnerable when they've got the ball. So that means as soon as that ball changes hands, as soon as the ball turns over, you have to sense danger. And I think Chelsea, it was like every time the ball broke down, the transition was so quick and fast and efficient that they got into the areas, and that's where their goals come from. But in terms of West Ham, I think if you are going to play that way, sometimes the balance behind the ball's got to be important, because as soon as you lose possession, then you're so vulnerable to the counter-attack like you've seen today.
You'll see that happen quite a lot as well. When teams get an early goal, and you mentioned control of the game, Jermaine, Chelsea, of course, scored 2 quite early goals. All of a sudden, they're in control.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's right, come on then, come and take your risks. We've got so much pace on the counter-attack. And then you just play into their hands. And sometimes it's almost inevitable, because what can West Ham do? They can't just sit back themselves and pass it around them. They've got to sort of commit. They've got to get back into the game, and you just play into... And that's the beauty of scoring a couple of goals early on. You just control. You're in total control of the way the game plays then.
From West Ham's perspective, we saw that the fans were obviously disappointed. A few of them did leave quite early as well. What is it that needs to be done now? How can we see a better performance from West Ham? What does Lopetegui need to work on, really?
I think if you look at the team, we spoke before about, obviously, Wan-Bissaka, you know, seemed like he was in the wrong areas. I think just a little bit of structure, to be honest. I think, you know, it's so important in that, because you can talk about tactics and systems and stuff like that, but within that, you need structure. You know, structure when you got the ball and structure when you lose it. Like, obviously, managers at this level, they know that. But it's important to understand who you're playing against, because I think if you are playing against a Chelsea team where they're quick on the counter-attack and they've got quick, dynamic players, then for me, it doesn't make sense for me to sort of like vacate those sort of areas for Nicholas Jackson to run into. But like I said, listen, it's early days, early this season. I'm sure they'll be okay. But, you know, on reflection, when you watch this game today, I'm sure there'll be areas that they need to improve on.
And West Ham have got some really good attacking players, haven't they, that actually can probably make something from nothing. I think last season and previous seasons under David Moyes, it was quite boring and quite structured, and you know, you would love a fullback to go and join just to help out the attack a little bit. Actually now, I look at West Ham and think, do you know what? If you leave the attacking players and one or two of the midfield, Paqueta and that attack, between them, I think they can cause trouble. I don't think they need to risk anything at the back by committing the likes of Wan-Bissaka into areas he's no good at anyway. So I think it's quite a strange balance at the moment. But I think they've got the players there. He's just got to shuffle his pack in the right way, tactically, you know, nail it a little bit better. But in terms of players, I think they've got plenty of them and plenty of quality to do okay.
They have got, and they've got a lot of good players in that wing position, haven't they? They've got good wingers, as have Chelsea. Let's just wrap this up talking about Chelsea for a moment, because it has been a really big win and quite a statement today. They will take a lot of confidence from this.
Yeah, I think so. I think winning like that and, you know, winning the game early, getting it done early, and then you look at, you know, full control. I think the way they played from the beginning with the intensity, with and without the ball, the goals that they scored, you know, the subs that they brought on. Yeah, I mean, when you score 2 goals as the number 9, you come off after an hour, you know, to bring someone else on, then you know the strength in depth. But I think it is a statement. But you know, there was a lot of noise around this manager coming in, you know, so. Yeah, it looks good, and for me, sky's the limit for Chelsea, to be honest. And
actually, many would have said that this performance might have come a little bit later on in the season, with the fact that, you know, there's been so much change. Are you surprised that we've seen it so early on? Yeah,
Maresca will be absolutely delighted. I mean, a clean sheet to get, you know, your centre forward that you're dependent on scoring a couple of goals, getting so many players onto the pitch as well, so you've kept so many people happy, and we all know that could be a problem at Chelsea.
Definitely.
I mean, it couldn't really have gone any better. As I say, you can tick so many boxes for Maresca today, and for that type of performance to come so soon, you know, that's the benchmark now.
Chelsea that lead 2-0 at the break. Let's get straight to the action. You said you wanted to see Nicholas Jackson make an impact, score a goal, and he certainly did. Talk us through that opening one in 4 minutes.
I just think from the beginning of the game, really, he looks really sharp. But I think, you know, in terms of West Ham, they go from an attacking position, then conceding a goal. We see here, getting in front of his defender, winning the free kick. And I think it's a case of just West Ham sort of like just switching off. You know, the ball's dead here. You see the West Ham backline sort of like switch off, and I think Wan-Bissaka goes out, you know, he's in the wrong position, there's a massive gap, and then he just vacates that space in behind on the left-hand side that Nicholas Jackson is having so much joy in. And even then, you want the West Ham sort of like centre-backs to sort of like come across and try and engage in that. But for me, I mean, there's too much space, Mo. You can see like a massive gap there. Yeah,
centre-halves, I think they don't cover, do they?
No.
And when they don't do that, and obviously Wan-Bissaka gets caught up, then he's trusting, his centre-half is trusting Alvarez to snuff out the danger. He simply hasn't got the pace.
No.
I mean, I don't think I've seen a Premier League footballer run so slowly as Alvarez there on the way back. I mean, it was incredible and a great celebration. But that was really clinical from Jackson, and he continued that with his second shot. We speak about fullbacks coming inside, Cucurella in this instance, and this is why, if you get that overload, that extra player, it ends up being Caicedo that plays in the ball, but it's only because there's an extra body, and then that's really, really clinical. However, look at Alvarez again. I don't know where he's going here. He gets in front of Jackson, leaves a huge space, and all of a sudden, I mean, both times Alvarez, he's got no pace. Why would you even risk that, Jermaine?
Yeah, I mean, when you spoke about Cucurella coming inside, and what they do to Chelsea, they create a box in the middle of the pitch, so it's really difficult. And for situations like that, but I mean, you know, as a centre-back, Alvarez, when he steps out, you vacate that massive space in behind, is what the number 9 wants. And Jackson runs in behind and listen, you know, we spoke about being calm before, and it was an unbelievable finish.
Yeah. And look at those numbers as well, because this is the company he wants to be seen in. Since May 2024, he's scored 8 goals, only second to Erling Haaland, who's on 15.
Yeah, let's forget about Haaland.
He's
doesn't
just
count.
on his own, isn't he?
Yeah.
But for the best of the rest, isn't he? So that's very good from Jackson. I love this finish as well. When you fall away like that, Sim, as you're hitting it and you're falling away, it encourages that left to right spin. So he just set it out on the post, curled it in. It was a beautiful little
Fantastic,
finish.
Brilliant.
Did West Ham deserve a penalty?
When we first saw it, I thought, you know, like for me, I was like, oh, that's 100% penalty, especially when I saw it again. You know, some of it was being really sharp, really bright, but I just don't think you can do that. You know, you can't. I think if that's on the halfway line, I think you get given a free kick, 100%, and it's really hard for me to understand why. You can see here, I mean, it's a good 5 or 6 seconds. It's just held it. You can understand, you know, the manager's frustrations.
Yeah, I'm surprised VAR didn't give that as a penalty. It's obviously, we've heard this season, referee's call is going to be more prevalent, let's say. They're going to go more with the referee's decision on the pitch, and I'm fine with that unless it's really clear and obvious that it's wrong. But I think that is clear and obvious. There's a prolonged grab of the arm. I think that is clear and obvious, and I think that's one that it's probably not. It shouldn't be a referee's call there. I think it's more obvious than that, and I think that was a penalty.
Okay. Both of you spoke highly of Wan-Bissaka before we kicked off for the match. But talk to me about his positioning, Mo. I know you've been analysing this. What's wrong with where he is here?
Well, Chelsea have been exploiting this area of the pitch an awful lot, and it can only be the manager, the tactics of Lopetegui that's asking him, because he's playing high. He's sometimes playing wide, sometimes playing high and inside, Jermaine, but a lot of the time he's out of position, and Chelsea are really exploiting it.
I think sometimes when you, as a fullback, if you are going to do that, like Cucurella, I think when you've got good control of the play, then you can sort of like afford to go high, come inside. But when you've not got good control of the game, then you have to pick your moments to go high or come inside. And I mean, in the first half, how many times have we seen Nicholas Jackson just spin into that channel? He's getting so much joy out there. The first goal comes from there, and it's almost like they've not really learned from that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half.
Yeah, it's cost them already, Seamus. It seems like every dangerous attack comes from this left-hand side of Chelsea, so it's an area that Lopetegui might... I know he's made a change or during that first half, but he might have to shore that area up as well, because Jackson's getting in every single time.
Well, with that in mind, it is indeed a big half-time team talk for the West